So we're here again in our simple calculator application. And what we're going to go over this time is expression bodies. Expression bodies are essentially a shorthand way of representing our methods, constructors, properties, and initializers. Initializers we won't be going over because it's a new concept, but for properties and methods and constructors, I'll show you exactly how to do. And the initializers, it has the same concept. It is nothing different. It's just a different syntax. So let's go ahead and convert this method into an expression bodied method. What I will do is I will take this out, and then I will get rid of the squiggly brackets and the return statement. Take the whole thing out, and then we will put this symbol, equals, and then greater than. So that's going to make our method into an expression bodied method. Just a shorthand way of representing our method. And then let me move this aside. That's it. Just a simple one-liner. This is going to do exactly the same thing. And we can test it by simply putting a breakpoint and running the application, saying 1, 2, plus, and that should give back 3. So everything stays the same. Functionally, everything is exactly the same. The only thing that changed is the syntax, which is a lot more readable in this case. So you can do the same thing with properties and constructors as well. Let me go ahead and show you how you do that, but in another application. And the reason is because there we'll have a constructor. In simple calculator application, we didn't have one. So I'll go to Sudoku Solver, open it up. And if we wanted to convert this into C#7 code, this constructor right here, what we would do is the same exact thing. Grab the code, get rid of the squiggly brackets, put the symbol, remember from previous example, and then that's it. Just paste the body. So this does the same exact thing. It's just a shorthand. Now we can do the same thing with properties. In this case, we don't have a property in this class, but if we did, let me just create a property with the backing field, and I'll call that property myScore. So I will say public int myScore, and that'll have a getter and a setter. Let me create a backing field, private, and that'll be score 100. Then we'll say, all right, this guy and this guy, both of them, are going to get and set certain things. Let me just format this out. Okay, so the getter is going to say, return the score. The getter is just simply going to return the score. The setter is going to say, if the value that you're trying to set is greater than 0, then go ahead and say that the backing field is equal to value. So only assign value to the score if it's greater than 0. Otherwise, throw an exception and say, throw new exception, and say something like, cannot have a score below 0. If it's greater than 0, then it's going to assign the value to it. If it's 0 or anything below, then it's just going to say cannot have a score of 0 or below. More accurate. Okay, so cannot have a score of 0 or below. And now this is our property with getters and setters. What we're going to do is we're going to convert it into an expression bodied property. So we're going to get this guy and then simply get rid of the squiggly brackets in the return statement and just say this. So this is C#7 feature. And just like so, this is going to work just fine. Just one liner. With this guy though, we can't really put the entire thing in a shorthand. What we need to do is we need to convert this first. So I'm going to say score is going to equal to the condition. So it's going to say if value is greater than 0, then score is going to equal to value. Otherwise, it's going to throw an exception. And guess what? We're also using another C#7 feature, which is the throw expressions in ternary operators, if you remember from the previous video. So before we wouldn't be able to do this, but right now we're saying, you know what, check this condition. If the condition matches, then assign this value to score. Otherwise, throw an exception. And then we can just grab this guy and we can get rid of the squiggly brackets and then have our symbol, the shorthand for the expression body. And then we are all set to go. So this guy right here is equivalent to what we had before, but in C#7 this is absolutely valid, and this is actually a lot more readable if you ask me. So this is expression-bodied methods, constructors, and properties, and I hope you like them because they're pretty nifty and they make your code a lot more readable.